Welcome. This is a game of Writer's Room. This city never sleeps, where we will create an urban fantasy TV show, the first season of that show. And yeah, that's what we're doing today. My name is Anders. I use the he/him pronouns, and I am here with Aaron and Ben. And I'll let you introduce yourselves. We'll start with Ben.
Hi, I'm Ben, he, him pronouns, and yeah, very excited to be here and try the game.
Cool, thank you, Aaron. And Aaron, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I just realized.
Yeah, Aaron is good. Yeah, I use he/him pronouns, and yeah, I love different kinds of storytelling games, stuff like that. So I'm excited to try this out. But this is my first time with this game, so
Cool. Yeah. This is a game on the Open Hearth gaming community. We will be using some safety communication tools. We will use lines and bales, and those are on the safety and setup tab. So if you want to check things off there, you can do that. I'm doing that as I speak because I forgot to do it beforehand. But those are there. I'll go through them once you feel comfortable with those. We'll use the X card. So if there's something you're not, something that comes up that even if it was or wasn't on the lines and veils that you don't want in the game, say that you want to use the X card or make an X sign or type something in the chat. I may not see the chat because that's not always like in focus. But just let me know and we'll handle it. You don't need to explain why you want to remove something from the game, but you may need to specify exactly what it is so that we can work around it. We have the open door policy. So if you need to leave, you need to leave. Real life takes precedence over the game. You don't need to explain why you need to leave. If you can let us know when you'll be back, that's good, but you don't have to either. You may just need to leave and don't know if you come back or whatever. Or yeah, you don't need to explain. You don't need to tell us when you'll be back, but it's good so that we know if that's happening. If I'm gone, if I disconnect and I'm gone for more than 10 minutes, then I'm probably not coming back. I don't think it's ever happened so far, but you never know. It's computers, so anything can happen. We're also using the Open Hearth code of conduct. That's mostly just be nice, don't be a dick. And I don't think that will be a problem here. So yeah. Are you both happy with the lines and bales?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The very last one on the list, I have no idea what that is.
Oh yeah. That came up in a previous game, and I left it in. It's fridging the wife specifically. That's when this is an old trope from comics that I shouldn't. I don't need to go into the details. It's basically when you kill off the main characters. Stereotypically, it's the wife in order to propel them into action. It's just killing someone off kind of needlessly or callously, just in order to give the main character angst or a need.
Gotcha. Thanks for explaining that.
Yeah. So we have a line on sexual assault, violence, and coercion, and I just realized that coercion is misspelled, so I'll fix that. We have a veil on harm to animals, and we have an ask first on suicide. So those are our lines and veils. And if you realize that you want to put something up there during the game, just do so, and maybe draw our attention to it in the chat or something, so we know. Cool. before I go into explaining the game, have either of you played Microscope before?
Yes.
Yeah. Then this will be easier. This game is, I would say, heavily inspired by Microscope, but it's not Microscope. There's a somewhat similar structure in that we have like a top level thing with the seasons, and then we have episodes in the seasons, and we have scenes in the episodes, and that's a similar structure to the eras and the events and scenes in Microscope, but they function a bit differently. But that's just a general thing. Another thing that is similar is that you can jump around. We don't need to like write things from the beginning to the end. We can skip around. But I will get into that more in a little bit. So in this game, we're creating a fictional TV show. In this case, an urban fantasy TV show. When it is your turn, and another difference from Microscope is that we just go around taking turns. We don't do the back and forth semi, I don't know what you call it, but we just go around. When it's your turn, you will take on one of the roles in the writer's room. You can be the showrunner, the producer, the casting director, the story editor, or a staff writer. And these correspond very loosely to how these roles function in an actual writer's room, which I don't know anything about because I've never been in a writer's room, but you pick things up a little bit. So the showrunner is responsible for the series overview, and this is like the general information about the show that's going to remain true if this show keeps going for multiple seasons. This stuff will still generally be true. Things may change there, but generally not. So that's the showrunner has the big picture, including the elevator pitch, which is like the short summary of what this show is, and the general themes. Like, is this show about friendship? Is it about duty versus love? Well, that kind of thing. And then we have the producer. The producer is responsible for the season overview. And since we're only doing one season, these will kind of blend together. And it's not super important. Like, if you want to introduce a theme for the whole thing, it doesn't really matter if you put it in the series overview or the season overview, since this is a one-shot, and those will be kind of the same thing here. But the season overview has like more specific things, like the plot arcs. The plot arcs don't belong in the series overview because that's like you can have like a general plot that's like in the elevator pitch if that's something that's going to be true for the whole show. But for a season, you can have something like if we were doing Buffy, then like Buffy fighting against whoever the big bad is this season. That could be a plot arc. The casting director is responsible for the cast, and this is not fully in how this works in the really real world, because here the casting director is also responsible for developing the characters, which obviously they don't do in a real writer's room because the writers get to do that. But otherwise, the casting director here would only get to pick actors, and that's kind of boring. So here, the casting director will name the characters and describe them, and give them drives and relationships and that sort of thing. I'll go into those things maybe a little bit more in detail once we get into play. And they pick the actors, and we're going to talk a bit about that in the general pre-game. Then we have the story editor. The story editor is responsible for the high-level. Ben, I should mention to you as well that sometimes I pause because my camera is swirling, and from last session I learned that probably means that my sound is out. So It's probably a connection thing. Story editor is responsible for the high-level description of each episode, meaning like naming the episode and naming themes and plot threads that are important in that episode. And they can write a synopsis for the episode, like a short summary of what's going to happen in that episode. And finally, we have the staff writer. The staff writer works on individual scenes. So they pick one of the scenes and do something with that. There are 3 main scenes in each episode. Oh, I should say there's 5 episodes to the season. That's not a realistic number unless it's a British show, I guess. But it's appropriate for the amount of time we have. 5 episodes is a good number to have enough to work with without feeling crowded, but we still get to feel like we've filled it out somewhat. There are 3 main scenes in each episode. There's also, I added since last session, optional cold open and a tag scene at the end. These are like minor scenes that may or may not be connected to like the general narrative of the episode. In each scene, you can specify locations and characters, write a summary for the scene, what's going to happen there. But the thing you do most in scenes, generally speaking, is adding details, including plot beats. That's the main thing you do. And a plot beat is one thing that happens in the scene. So if a scene is, I'm going to take an example from the rules because I remember it. If one scene is from Aliens, when Ripley goes to save Newt and confronts or finds the alien queen, that sort of thing, that can be a scene. And the summary for that scene could be Newt disappears and Ripley goes to save her, finds the alien queen, and retrieves Newt. That could be like the summary for the scene, and then individual plot beats could be Ripley finds the queen, Ripley burns the eggs, and that sort of thing. That's like it's one thing that happens. A visual is similar, but it's more like a visual thing. So going back to the same example, when we see like the alien queen's ovipositor dropping an egg, that's a visual, or you can do that as visual. Dialogue is 1 or 2 lines of dialogue, just a cool line you want to drop in there. A needle drop is a song that's featured prominently in the scene. I realized I went into a lot more detail about the scenes than I've done about the other things. But hopefully, I think most of the other things are fairly self-explanatory. If they're not, please ask. Oh, recurring motifs, I should explain. That's a visual or line of dialogue or something else that picks up meaning from how it's used in the show. So for Star Wars, for example, lightsaber colors, that's a motif. It's something, it has meaning, but it only has meaning because it shows up in different contexts in the movies and shows there. Same thing with I've got a bad feeling about this. That line is a motif in Star Wars. And the music, obviously, like the Imperial March is a motif. I think I've blathered on long enough about this. So what you do on your turn is that you pick one of these roles, one of these 5 roles, and then you do 1 or 2 things that's related to that role. So you add something. If you're the showrunner, you add 1 or 2 things to the things under the series overview. So you can name the show, you can decide on a theme song, you can describe the title sequence, you can write the elevator pitch or add to the elevator pitch. You can just start writing a little bit of it, and then maybe someone else wants to add to it, they can do that. If you want to change something that someone else has already put in there, then you should have their approval. Don't go around changing something someone else has created just because you feel like it. You should camera again. Yeah, you should. We're doing this together, and we should build on what the others have added, not overwrite it. Yeah, same thing. Producer, do one or two things there. I should also mention that sometimes some of the roles are used a lot and sometimes they're completely ignored. I mentioned that a little bit about the showrunner and producer because they overlap so much when we're doing a one-shot. It's a little bit similar with the story editor and the staff writer. The last game, I don't think anyone did any story editor, took the story editor role even once. We were all just working on the scenes, like all the details, that sort of thing. And that's fine. That is not a problem. Oh, I should mention another difference from Microscope is that you can start at with the details. You can start just adding plot beats to a scene. You may not know what the scene is going to be about. You just know that, oh, I want this cool visual in there, or I have a cool line of dialogue I want to appear, and I think it's good here. So you can add that in, and then maybe someone else writes a summary for the whole episode and that sort of thing. So we can jump between levels pretty much at will. Yeah. Are there any questions so far?
I don't think so.
Oh, cool. Then we will get into the pre-game, where we discuss. We know we're making an urban fantasy show, and now we should decide on what the tone is and some general idea about what kind of urban fantasy is this. We should also talk about, is this a contemporary show? Like, is it made now? Or is this a show that was produced in a fictional 1970s or whatever? And we should decide on casting. Do we want to just pick whatever actors we most like, or do we stick with TV actors or actors who could plausibly appear in this kind of show? Do we ignore the actors and just pick cool pictures for the characters? That's perfectly fine as well as casting unknowns, that sort of thing. We should probably, before we get into that, we should probably talk a little bit about urban fantasy in general, because it is a quite broad genre. So let's go around and talk a bit about what connotations we have with urban fantasy, what our touchstones are, what sort of thing we like about it. I'll start with you, Aaron.
Okay, I'm not. I haven't watched a lot of urban fantasy specifically,
Mhm.
but one of my favorite shows is The Wire, which is not the fantasy, but the urban part. I think is pretty well covered there. And so, and then I've played like Urban Shadows, a role-playing game, you know.
Mhm.
So I like the different factions kind of working at cross purposes, and also how specific people are like kind of lead. You know, you have leadership within the factions, but then sometimes you just got the the relatively powerless people having to carry out the will, you know, of
Mhm.
whatever bosses are around. Um, so I like all that aspect of it, and then the fantasy part. I mean, um, my impression is a lot of urban fantasy tends to go pretty dark and gritty, and like you know, there's a lot of violence and coercion, and like, oh, you owe me for this and that, and um, but yeah, and then the other, let's see, I've seen some of like supernatural as well, which I
Mhm.
think gets into the, there's like weird eldritch uh, mysteries happening that are like very threatening to various either people or power structures that need to be dealt with.
Mhm.
So that could be kind of cool to have some kind of there's like internal conflict, and then there's external pressures or external problems that have to be dealt with,
Yeah.
that can kind of unite different people in a common cause.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what I'm looking for, but I don't know, maybe you could educate me about different
I
kinds of
wouldn't
urban
go that
fantasy.
far. Ben, how about you?
So when I told my daughter about the premise of this game, she said, "Urban fantasy, does that like Twilight?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I suppose so. But yeah, it wouldn't be top of my list." So yeah, that's perhaps one I'm less keen to kind of emulate. But uh, I think like Aaron, there's I don't have a huge amount of experience with urban fantasy TV series. I know like you've got things like is it Once Upon a Time and some other like where they do the fairy tale kind of
Yeah.
mashup kind of thing. And there's one I watched a long time ago called 10th Kingdom, but that was quite light. That was like people kind of wander into the fairy tale kingdoms and hijinks ensue, and then a sort of a corresponding number of fantasy creatures get whooshed into the real world and cause upsets and problems and stuff. So, but that was one that kind of came to mind as had maybe there was some possibilities in some of the character roles that were in there, with some interesting ways that that with that, like there was because it was so like immediate, like you had kind of like a prince who was turned into a dog, and you had a goblin king, you had a um invisible shoes, so he could just sort of appear anywhere and at different times, and but the dog could only communicate with one particular real world guy because the real world guy had made a wish on, and it was all it tied things together and it made the characters interesting. And it's more that part of it that I was thinking about,
Yeah.
than necessarily the. I mean, I don't have a preference for a lighter or a darker tone. I suppose that's something that we need to sort out and discuss. But
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. That brings up uh, kind of the scope that we're going for, because um, like urban shadows, there's all these factions, right? Which implies like this huge city. There's like there's like 100 different people with different kinds of powers and werewolves and whatever. And uh, but conversely, we could go more narrow and just be like, no, there's like 5 weirdos, right? That are struggling in this city environment, um,
Mhm.
and they have their own specific relationships and problems that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I also have. I've also played a bit of Urban Shadows. And of course I played the storyteller games mainly back in the 90s, Vampire and those think are mainly urban fantasy in at least in a broad sense. And I don't think I watched. Oh, well, actually, I watched the Kindred TV show, which was based on Vampire. That was like 5 or 6 episodes before they canceled it, uh,
Oh,
for good reason, I think. I don't think it was very good, but it was fun. I think that's the most urban fantasy TV show I watched. I've seen an episode or two of Once Upon a Time, and that sort of thing, and some of the like adjacent shows like Supernatural and Buffy and those sort of things that
Right.
you can absolutely classify them as urban fantasy, but they're kind of more something else. They're more like a Monster of the Week show and that
Right.
sort of thing. Even if I think Supernatural tends a bit more towards urban fantasy towards them. Oh, there's another one. It's called Grimm, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely. I would say
I've
that
heard of
one's definitely urban fantasy.
yeah, I've heard of that one. Also, The Magicians, which I know
Oh
is
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
a TV show that was adapted from a book series. I think it's all about there's weird
That's true.
wizards, and to get to control magic, you have to do weird rituals and stuff like that.
Yeah,
As I
yeah. That's
recall,
true.
I didn't watch it, but I heard about it.
I watched it. It's really good. So I highly recommend that. But yeah, that's definitely urban
Because you've
fantasy.
got the Dresden Files as well, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
With
Absolutely.
the whole kind of wizard society hiding in amongst people and stuff.
Yeah.
I was also thinking, like, it's not a TV show, but movies. You've got like Constantine as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
More kind of
right.
demons and angels and stuff rather than
Yeah.
vampires and wizards.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what I like, I like the factions. I think I like the when there's at least enough people there that you have groups instead of only individuals. Like the individuals are important, and it's important to have the individuals be individuals. But I think for me, for it to feel like urban fantasy instead of something else, there has to be enough people that there has to be some sort of politics. I
Yes.
think. Um, but that's
Cool.
that's my only thing really. I tend to be
Yeah.
very
Oh,
liberal with what I consider urban fantasy. Like if you have weird science crap, then I feel like that's urban
yeah.
fantasy as well. Um,
That also brings to mind John Wick movies for me, because there's all this, it takes a while to develop, but there's all this implied,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
this organization, right? And there's this group and that group, and it's mostly like criminals, but there's clearly some weird supernatural-ish larger than life characters going on,
yeah, yeah, yeah. They're not. It's not for to me at least. It's not clear if it's supernatural or if we're just in action movie world. Like if it's
Yeah.
just these are are normal humans, but we're in a world that's so heightened that
Yeah.
just kind of loses its meaning.
But that's cool. But I kind of like that, the idea of the groups, and there's I forget what it's called in John Wick, but basically the assassins guild or whatever kind of sets the rules, right?
Yeah,
And otherwise you're blacklisted.
yeah. Yeah, and going back
uh,
to that kind of like individuals versus groups, my experience with these sorts of stories is that in general, even if you start out with a small group and that sort of thing, more individuals, there's going to
yeah,
show up. Oh, and then there's this big council or
right.
this sort of thing. Like
It
in
all
Buffy,
snowballs.
you get the Watchers Council showing up after a while, and they become a thing, and
Yeah,
that's
I like it, but it's perfect. Well, especially for season one, you start more focused to
Mhm.
get people on board and kind of introduce different concepts, right? And then you add on and add on, and it all snowballs, and you build out the
Yeah.
world from there, right? And then as people get more invested, then they can take on more complexity of like, oh, right, I remember that person from
Mhm.
from last season, and oh, now I understand how why these people hate each other because they're in these different groups and so on. um so
Yeah.
yeah, that would be, I like that idea of starting. We can start, like and a common trope is you have one person who's kind of new and doesn't really understand, and then everybody explains to them and the
Yeah.
audience, like, okay, here's how things work, right?
Yeah.
So
That's
we could have that at least one character who's kind of new to these supernatural factions. Maybe
mhm,
maybe they are just realizing the existence of all this weird crap in the city,
yeah.
and kind of learning about it as we go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very common trope, and I think it's a good one, especially for a TV show. It is good because you want to pull people in. It's very common in books as well, I think, because you can have this person who's asking silly questions or stupid questions from the perspective of those who are already in it. Um, yeah. So yeah, let's talk about tone and that sort of thing. No one's expressed a strong opinion on that, I think.
Yeah.
I like to
I
keep
mean,
it at least moderately serious, like not
yeah,
go full gonzo silly, but otherwise I'm
yeah.
fairly mellow on that.
But the
Oh,
title kind of implies a quite a sort of a dark and grittiness to it, doesn't it? This city never sleeps. Is very it's kind of
yeah.
kind of
What was I think? Oh, What We Do in the Shadows.
Yeah, that's
It's kind
true.
of a little too silly, right?
That's just half a step into the silly side. But yeah, that's a
Yeah,
great example of urban fantasy as well.
yeah,
And that also
uh,
starts out small, and then you get, oh, there's the vampire council and that sort of thing. So yeah,
yeah.
um,
Okay.
cool. So
Yeah, I like that more, a little more serious, but maybe especially at the beginning, uh, if we have kind of a mortal or like a normal person who's getting introduced to it, then you know I like that trope
mhm.
of like they're commenting on how crazy this all is. Like you can't be serious, right? but then the show itself, actually treats it seriously.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, one thing I really like is when you have things that are really weird and kind of not goofy, but weird and maybe funny to the audience, but it's very serious in the show. Like you have,
yeah,
I'm trying to think of an example. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I think you get what I'm getting at.
yeah.
Um,
Now I'm thinking also of I think it was just called Bright, a movie
oh
uh,
yeah,
with
very
Will
bad
Smith, I want to say. Yeah.
movie, but
But it's this urban fantasy which goes a little too, too silly with it, but it's still like the themes are, it's about it tackles like racism against orcs and and
yeah,
police. They're working as cops, right? So it's like, oh, he's the first orc in this precinct, and his partner's kind of stereotyping him and stuff.
yeah.
mhm,
And there's a lot of goofy stuff in the world, but his kind of perspective on it is like, this is serious. Like this is my
yeah,
Yeah.
life.
absolutely. Cool.
Yeah,
So
it's
it
similar
sounds,
to Alien Nation, isn't it? In that respect, with
yeah, absolutely.
but obviously that's a more for sci-fi
Yeah.
thing.
So I'm going to put serious with some weirdness as the tone, just as a reminder of what we talked about. We can obviously change that if we realize that, oh, we want to go more in this or that direction later.
Yeah.
So do we want this to be a contemporary show, or do we want this to be like a period piece? Uh, um,
I don't have a strong preference, but I was wondering how far back could you go and still be considered urban fantasy?
I mean, we
Uh,
we can make up whatever we want. So we can say that, oh,
yeah,
they invented urban fantasy in the 1940s, and now we're making a
Oh
black and
yeah,
white show, but it's going
yeah.
to be more difficult to capture the like. Yeah, I'm definitely not against it, but it's going to be more difficult to capture the way television was written back then and that sort of thing. It's
Oh,
just,
okay. Yeah, I see. Because we're trying
um,
to make it a TV show too. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Um.
No, maybe not.
but like because I mean there's been, now I'm getting into TV history, but like before, I think pretty much before the very late 80s, early 90s, you didn't really have serial television unless it was a soap opera, pretty much. And there are probably counterexamples, but you mostly had like episodic shows, or you had like the soaps that were just ongoing.
Oh, right.
And
I
then
see.
with Twin Peaks and those shows, that's when you get like the
Yeah.
longer arcs and that sort of thing.
Right. Right. Okay.
I'm happy with
Uh.
with a contemporary
Yeah.
show.
It's
The only
easier,
thing is,
if nothing else. You don't need to remember that, oh, they don't have cell phones and that sort of thing.
yeah. Yeah. True.
Let's go
Although
with,
that makes its own challenges as well.
yeah, absolutely. So casting, do we just want to pick whatever actors we feel like, or do we want to have some restrictions? I'm fine either way. I like stunt casting.
Yeah. I'm open. Whatever.
I'm terrible
Whatever.
with actors and names and faces and who did what. But
Yeah.
so
I've
yeah, I don't.
maybe a slight preference for just picking cool faces,
Yeah.
so that we don't have to worry about like who was this person again.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm reasonably familiar with a lot of pop. I don't follow celebrities and stuff that closely, but I've seen a bunch of movies and TV, so whatever.
Yeah. The only thing or I should say, the thing I like about casting a well-known actor is that you get a sense of what type the character is as well.
Yeah.
That it becomes kind of a shorthand. If you know that this is, if Tom Cruise is playing this character, then you kind of know what they're going to be,
Right.
even
Right.
if he's not as typecast as many others. But yeah, unless
Yeah.
it's
Cool.
Magnolia or whatever it was, where he yeah, sorry. No, it was it's oh, sorry. I'm sidetracking, and I shouldn't do that.
Eyes
Uh,
Wide Shut. Was that the one? I think that was Tom Cruise, wasn't it? Anyway.
sorry, what did you say?
Yeah.
It's
Eyes Wide Shut. Right.
yeah,
It's
Eyes Wide Shut. That's not the one
kind of a weird one.
Yeah, I was thinking of the one with Robert Downey Jr. when they're making the Vietnam movie. I think
Oh.
it, I think it's Tom Cruise playing the bald producer guy, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. Whatever that. Yeah, I know that
Very
movie.
against his
Tropic Thunder.
intro.
Tropic
But
Thunder. It's called. Yeah.
yeah. Tropic Thunder. Yeah. Cool. Let's not spend more time talking about things that we're not doing.
Yes. Okay.
So it seems, I feel like we have a general sense of what we're doing. We want to start fairly small, but there's enough supernatural people there for there to be factions in some sense. We have someone
Yeah.
new coming into this world in some way, who will be our main viewpoint character.
Oh. Where do we want to set this?
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Because especially I feel like in urban fantasy, like the city is a
Yeah,
big part of it, right? A big sort of character and
I think
defines a lot of the things.
absolutely. And a big choice there, I think, is this a real city, or is this like the city? Um,
Yeah.
and I'm fine either way. And this can be like the city that is somewhere in the US or somewhere else, and we just don't need to worry. We just don't worry about the
Yeah.
world outside it, or we
I'm-
can pick a real city, and that's fine.
I'm almost tempted to go just total fantasy. It's like it's a modern-ish city, but
Yeah.
but you know, it's no country you've ever heard of. It's you know, there's different countries around, different political context, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of, it's got its own weird districts and stuff. So that just leaves it totally kind of open
Yeah.
to you know, we can have whatever kind of high rises, whatever kind of industrial districts, and kind of like China Mieville
Yeah.
writes urban fantasy, you know, where it's that's the other thing. Oh, well, I guess is this is the fantasy stuff covert? Is it like
Yeah, that was
hidden
exactly
from
that
normal
was what
people,
I.
or is it like, oh yeah, this is the, you know, the wizards control the Sears Tower or whatever.
Yeah, that's the point I was thinking of as well. And I think there are kind of three ways to do this. One is that, oh, it's completely secret. No normal humans know about other than, like, you. Obviously, there are always exceptions, but in general, the mundane world don't know about the fantasy world. Or it's completely open, and the whole world kind of is like urban fantasy, like the magical people, if you want to call them that, are just, that's the bright way to do it. Like
Yeah.
they're just normal people, or at least everyone knows about them, and that's what's it called? The one with all the anyway, you can have that where it's like public knowledge, or you can do kind of the urban shadows solution, where people know that it exists, but it's kind of, you push it away to its own sort of thing. Like, oh yeah, we know there are wizards and werewolves and that sort of thing, but we don't mess around with them, and they don't mess around with us. Like, kind of, they're living parallel. They're living next to each other, but mostly ignoring each other.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen a TV show called From? It's fairly recent.
I don't think
No.
so.
So basically, these people driving along a road, and they see a fallen tree, and then they can't escape from that area, and they're kind of forced into this town, and then the monsters kind of appear at night, and they've only got 4 little talisman things that protect them. So I was wondering, what if we kind of flip the urban fantasy thing, and rather than the monsters hiding in the city of people, there are people hiding in a city of monsters, and then you can still have the factions and the politics both within the monsters and the people, but it's just kind of a different way of looking at it.
Yeah. I checked it up. I've seen the first episode, I think. So I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
That's
So it is.
interesting.
So it's the world is monsters and these factions and stuff, and then people from our world. It's like a parallel dimension, right? People from our world have stumbled in and are now, like, kind of struggling to find their own place, right? And
Yeah.
find
That's
safety and
kind of
security there.
the fourth option, that it's kind of portal fantasy, where you transported into another world, or when there's you have a reflection, like you have the mundane city and you have the supernatural city, and you can travel between them, and they're kind of like reflections of each other.
I like that. That's cool. Yeah, let's do that. And that's the perfect reason for somebody to be coming into this fresh, right? Without all the context. and they like oh man, now I'm having ideas of like the the season premiere, right? Is like they're just living their ordinary life, uh stumble through some basement portal somewhere, and then they're like caught into this crazy fantasy world, right? But then the some normal human, right, who's been there for 2 years, right, is like comes and rescues them and pulls them out of the whatever mess they've gotten themselves into, and then it's like explaining like, don't ever do that
back
again, right?
or are they trapped?
Oh, I think I'm going to say we stop this discussion here now, because now I feel like we're on the same page for what we're doing.
I think that's a big question, is like,
And
how do we get back, and can
yeah.
we, or and maybe some people know how to do it.
I think
that's
we'll
that's a
I think
good,
we'll
like,
answer that in play.
what's it called, a central premise of the show is like,
Yeah.
that's, we want to keep the audience guessing on that.
About that. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I feel like when we start getting into specific ideas, that's when we should start playing. So let's do that. So we're, like I said, we'll be taking turns. And for the on your first turn, you have to pick showrunner or casting director. So you have to develop like the high level view of the show, or some of the key characters and that sort of thing. And that's just to make sure that we have some building blocks in place there before we start getting into the details. So Aaron, I'm going to ask you to take the first turn, because you were really starting to pitch something here.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to fill in our elevator pitch, just exactly what we said there.
Cool.
Dangerous.
And these are the elevator pitch. That's the thing that will remain true for the show, or is expected to remain true for the show, the seasons.
Okay.
So do you want to read that?
Yeah, so a parallel city exists, populated by monsters and sorcerers. When a normal person stumbles into this dangerous maelstrom, can they survive? And can they get back home?
Cool. Like that. Do you want to add anything more to the series overview? Because you get to do one or two things, and now you've done one thing.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Themes, types of conflict. I think types of conflict, I definitely want to put in there the factional politics as a core thing.
Cool. Ben, your turn. Either showrunner or casting director.
Okie dokie. So I'm going to have a little look at the title sequence. I've been thinking about this idea with, like you were saying, about a portal where they go through, rather than your usual kind of little oval glowing or whatever, but they instead have something like they slide in between something, and then all the angles change, and then all of a sudden it's almost like they're standing in another perspective, and the camera kind of just flips them. So just having a title sequence that kind of captures that, with not necessarily the anything from the show, but like images and things where all of a sudden the camera will just sort of slip in between what look like two connecting objects or whatever, and
then it's like
the forced perspective.
Yeah.
That's super cool. I love that.
Okay.
Nice.
I know there's a computer game built around that. I haven't played it, but
Oh,
I've seen some short sequences from it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Superliminal.
Yeah.
So is that all right then, or do we want to step away from that?
No. That's perfectly fine. I think I can see this title sequence and I really like it. So we should absolutely have it.
Yeah. Is it kind of an abstract art style?
Yeah, that kind of thing. I was thinking.
Yeah, like you have a door with the door panels on it, and then you turn sideways, and the door panels aren't connected to the door, and the door handle is loose. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
You have a brick wall, and you turn it sideways, and some of the bricks are like they're in different distance from each other. They're not actually connected.
Yeah, definitely. That'll do.
Yeah. Or those sculptures where like looking from one angle, it's it's a bird, and from 90 degrees off, it's a face or something.
Nice.
Super cool. Do you want to add something more to the series overview?
Can I add a title, but I'll put a question mark next to it because I'm happy if we don't agree, because I'm not 100% sold on it, but I do like the word. And it's catawampus, which means kind of going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Okay.
No question mark needed.
Unless it's part of the styling, right? It's like.
Yeah.
It's up to you. I'll leave it like that for now.
All right.
Okay.
Cool. So then it's my turn. I don't feel like I'm ready to cast anyone yet. So I will also do some work on the series overview. I want with the theme song is to use the song that I got the City Never Sleeps from, which is This City Never Sleeps. So I'm going to do that. I'm not sure if it's the exactly right mood we want, but I'm going to put it in there anyway. That's an old Eurythmics song. And I will add, I think I'll add a theme. I think we have Defying Destiny as a theme here. Like this, because fantasy, you're always going to have the prophecies and it's been foretold and you're the chosen one and that sort of thing. And I kind of want to like push back against that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. So whoever came through, it's like keep getting told like you were meant to come through, right? This is why you're here.
Yeah. Cool. So now we've done the first round where we've built some of the high level stuff. Now from now on you can pick whatever role you want. But I also see that we're on the hour, so we will take our first break. Let's say we take 10 minutes, give everyone some time to clear their head and maybe think of some ideas for moving forward. So see you again at 10 past roughly.
All right. See ya.
Cool. So now we're into regular play. So now you can pick whatever role you want. And like I said before, you can start with whatever episode you want, casting any characters. We can do things in any order. Yeah, Aaron, you're up first.
Yeah, I want to cast our lead fish out of water. Let's see. It's looking good for a good picture here. Let's see, this one will do. So I'm casting. Let me see. Okay, let's see if it works. Yeah, Emma Stone as our main person. And let's say, oh, I guess I can come up with the name, huh?
Yeah, the name is naming a character is free. Like you're the casting director. You get to do two things. If you do anything on a character and they don't have a name, you can name them if you want
to. Okay, we'll go with Zoe O'Donnell. Zoe O'Donnell, played by Emma Stone. So, if you're not familiar, she's actually I don't know her age, but she looks to be maybe in her 30s, and she's good at playing like I think very not always confident, but very like questioning and kind of curious, and like can be very sarcastic about things, you know. So that's kind of the vibe.
to.
I think
She was apparently born in 1988. So yeah.
Oh yeah. So she's late 30s. Cool.
Yeah, nice. Do you want to do something else as the casting director?
Oh, once or twice. Okay.
And you can do something with her character, or you can do something with another character.
Let's see. I'm kind of thinking this character Zoe is I would say she's pretty skeptical. Skeptical, but adaptable. Let's say that.
Cool.
So like she's yeah. She kind of I'm envisioning like she doesn't always believe everything at first, like, oh, is this even real, or like, oh, is that really how it is? But then once she understands something, then she'll adopt it and be able to work with it. So
cool.
Yeah, so it's not totally falling apart at the existence of this crazy world.
Yeah. Cool. Ben, your turn.
Okay. I think I'm gonna stay in showrunner. Or is it actually? Actually, looking at it, might not be in showrunner. I kind of had this idea about the structure of the factions that are at play here, and I'm thinking maybe that they are like the kind of the defining structure is around something like the fairy fae winter and summer courts, where like one's in control for a period of time and then the other's in control, but maybe there's a lot of politics that goes into when the switch happens and how it happens, and you know, and you know, like there's excesses in both. So the longer they're in power, the worse the excesses get. So even in the summer court, which, you know, perhaps the good guys, but you know, the longer it's there, the more that kind of causes stress and strain for everyone in the city.
Yeah.
Where would I put that? Is that
Yeah.
as producer or?
I think actually you're pointing out something here that we need a space for, and that's where we use one of the optional rules, which is the series Bible. And I'm going to make just a header for that, and that is under the showrunner. So your instincts were absolutely correct there. I'm going to put it now because I haven't made room for it. It's now below the staff writer, and I'll just join these up a bit. So there's some space here. So just put it under. So when we use the series Bible or the story Bible, I don't remember what I named it in the rules. This is a place to put facts that are true about the world. And for this kind of show, this is something that is useful. Like you need to know how does magic work and exactly this sort of thing. How this background information that will be sort of fed out to the viewers over time, but the writers need to know it right from the beginning, or else they need to make it up later, and you get all of these inconsistencies that's so very popular among the fans. So yeah, I think you can write something about this in the series Bible.
The series Bible, okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Nope, wait. Oh, I don't know where. I was typing in something. But not where that was. Okay, you might find something random typed somewhere. Fred, sorry.
I think you have the right place marked.
I have now, yeah. But before I was typing something else.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Well, if we find it, we can we know where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, so the main structure of the factions is in the summer and winter court, or maybe light and dark, or some kind of dichotomy like that.
And it sounds like you were kind of naming a theme of power corrupts, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good idea.
That would be your two things in that case.
Great.
Cool. So I think I'm going to start working on some plot here. And I think I'll be a producer. I'm going to have a plot arc here for the first season where Zoe enters and we haven't named it. I'll call it the Unsleeping City. And finds. Ooh, do we want her to find out what? I mean, she has to have, like, she gets there. She probably wants to go home. I think maybe that's in the finale. She has to choose whether to go home or whether to stay. And has to choose whether to stay or go back home to her ordinary life. And I think this could go either way. Like, even if she does go home, there could be another season where there's some time has passed and she comes back, or maybe there's another character. Like, if she leaves, that doesn't have to mean that the show is over. That's what I'm thinking. But that's one plot arc for the first season. I think we should also have maybe another plot arc of there's some sort of scheme. So we want to get these political factions, put them against each other a bit. So one of the courts, or a faction within one of the courts. Faction within one of the courts has a plan to stay in power instead of giving it up to the other faction, the other court. To have something she can get involved in. That's important going on in the background. Is everyone okay with that? Cool.
Yes.
Then it's now I just want to call you Aaron.
Yeah. That's fine. Okay.
I think Unsleeping City has been used somewhere else, but I'm going to use it here anyway.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Okay, I have an idea for the first episode. And let me see here. So this will be as a story editor. Oh, or I could just jump in and start writing scenes, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. As the story editor, that's when you want to like shape the episode in general, and staff writers if you want to go into the nitty gritty right away.
Yeah, I'm gonna develop a scene, which is I think I'm gonna do the middle scene in the first episode. This is under scene 2. And I might write a summary, but I want to get this plot beat in here, which is also kind of a visual maybe of Zoe is sort of caught up in this protest. It's like a modern day protest. You know, you got the people with signs, except some of them are some of them are trolls, some of them are whoever. You got your werewolves, you got your maybe like it's like at night, so there's like a wraith is is around, and somebody's on a megaphone, and of course there's the ubiquitous like cell phones recording things, and Zoe's just caught up in this chaos, and then and there's humans, people that look like humans anyway. Maybe they have some weird powers or something, who knows, but there's other humans. But then a human comes up specifically to Zoe, right, and like reaches out a hand, like grabs her by the arm, and says, I'll get you out of here, come with me, right, and don't say anything. And this is, of course, our sort of regular human hero savior guy, who we have yet to cast, but
Yeah.
but they come in and kind of pull her ass out of trouble, and
So that
out of
part
this
definitely
out
sounds
of the
like
chaos.
yeah, that part definitely sounds like a plot beat, and then the other part could be like the part of the summary, or just another plot beat that she finds herself in a protest, and
Yeah.
her mentor would be the role this figure has. I think comes and pulls around.
Yeah. So I'll put that as I'll put those two things, the visuals and then she's getting pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
Chaos by the human faction. Cool. So Zoe's lost among the protest of creatures, but is pulled out of the chaos by the human faction leader. I'll just put the visuals like I described there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll note those down. But you can go ahead, Ben.
Okay. So I think is casting director. Where are we? And see if we can find someone for the mentor role. And I was thinking of Michelle Yeoh. Just find the link. Does that work directly from your Pinterest? Find her another.
If you open image, and you can paste in the link.
Copy a link to the image.
Yeah, so you have to like right click and do the
okay.
If you right click, open image in new tab is what it is on my browser, and then you can copy the address. You have to have like the address to exactly the picture, I think, and not just the page where the picture is on.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'll do that when it's not my go and I'm not holding things up. So, it's going to be Michelle Yeoh. And I spelled it right. And And I think I will describe her as, I think most or all of the humans who come into this realm are pulled there to be like someone's servant or to for a particular reason, but Zoe's different from that, and I think Michelle Yeoh's character recognizes that and therefore makes a beeline to kind of help her, but maybe help herself as well somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So a mentor, but with an agenda, and she is like I don't know, I want to say like a changeling in the sense of, you know, like a kidnapped mortal, like again, like with I know we've got lots of things in there, but this idea of that like someone was taken into the fairy realm, and that's where those sorts of stories come if they were pulled into the unsleeping city. And so she's some kind of changeling servant to maybe to someone powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'll give her a name, which would be Fisher.
Cool.
Fisher. Nice.
Fisher.
Nice. Yeah. Let's see. Think I'll be story editor. I'll write the synopsis for the first episode because we kind of have it sketched out a little bit. So Zoe stumbles into the unsleeping city and is rescued / recruited by Fisher. Zoe learns of the conflict between the factions regarding who will rule, or regarding the transition of power, I guess. That's the general overview of the first episode. And I think one of the conflicts here or plot thread is Zoe refuses to believe what she sees at first, but by the end of the episode, she has at least she has accepted what is happening. Yeah, Aaron. I keep saying your name differently each time.
It's all good. Let's see. I want to. Man, I'm tempted. My personal style is to actually work out the kind of the outline first. You know, so I I'm sorely tempted to go in and just do the synopsis for every episode.
Yeah, you can do that if
of
you want. That's perfectly
So
fine.
I might do that, but I do want to establish another character here first. If I can get this. Now Pinterest doesn't want to cooperate with me. Let's see. I'll just copy and paste this guy. So let's see. Here we go. So I think we need a character that is working for the current court that's in power, and is seeking for whatever reason, like Zoe is a perfect tool for this end to keep them in power, right? So his drive is to recruit or coerce Zoe into helping the did we say let's decide the Winter Court, I guess. Just helping the Winter Court stay in power. Okay, and then we go to let's get some names real quick. Swango. Oh, that's a good one. Swango. And this is just a random face, but it's definitely an older gentleman, probably in his 70s. He's got a bunch of wrinkles, kind of a large nose and large ears, and kind of droopy skin. Kind of a double chin, fairly bad teeth. He looks. If I wanted to envision like a troll's face, it would be this guy.
Yeah.
Swango, yeah.
So is it Swango the troll then? Is he actually playing a troll rather than?
Possibly he's literally a troll. Yeah, in this world.
Cool. Then it's Ben.
Okay.
Oh, and that's his core drive, by the way, that I put. Recruit Zoe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I guess Swango would appear somewhere in the first episode, wouldn't he? Trying to recruit Zoe before Fisher gets her claws in too deep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to have to be scene 3 then, isn't it? So I think there's some kind of confrontation between Swango and Fisher. Do you know what? Maybe they both even serve the same court, but they're doing it for their own ends. So yeah, I think there's a lot of kind of underhanded skullduggery as they kind of are working towards the same end, but not willing to kind of let the other one get there. And I think maybe the Fisher has an alternative kind of idea in mind. She's probably playing like multiple angles. One that she's appearing to for the for her masters, and one for herself, and maybe another one again. But yeah, so I think that out of that, I think it ends up with Fisher and Zoe kind of escaping into the city at large after a series of chats and cheats and
Yeah.
a little bit of argy-bargy between them.
Different gambits and
yeah. So I think that's gambits. That's a good word. I like that.
Gambits and moves and different plays against each other. Cool. Yeah, I like that structurally as well, because then it's in this first episode, Zoe's kind of starts to get a sense of this one faction, right? It's like, oh, even within this one faction, there's like different opinions, right?
Yeah.
And we kind of develop that before introducing, like, okay, then we start talking about all these other crazy threats.
Actually, I'm going to change that slightly. Maybe that Zoe runs away, and Fisher is the one who's chasing out. Like maybe Swango's been incapacitated or at least slowed down, and so it's sort of Fisher and Zoe running away, but Zoe's kind of fleeing the situation rather than necessarily Fisher.
Nice.
Okay. I'll put in the characters as well for that, and then that's me.
Cool. I'm going to be casting director. I'm going to cast Michael Keaton as one of the court leaders. Not sure. Do we think is he the king of summer or the winter king? I'm not sure where he would what would suit him best.
What sort of entity is he?
I think he's like a high fae, so he looks human, but he has vaguely defined magical abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like him for the summer.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And start to filling them out a little bit.
Yeah. Then he is. Let's just call him the King of Summer for now, and I think he is. I'm going to do the dramatic poles thing for him that Robbie DeLaws likes, like having two conflicting drives. So I think one is Glorious King versus Honorable honorable member, what do you call it? Honorable, not citizen, but like more like one drive for him is to be like, oh, I'm the greatest, I'm the most glorious king, and the other is to be like a part of the greater society, like playing his part. and I'm not sure how to phrase the latter. Maybe it's just glory versus community. I'll put that as his core conflict.
Glory versus service. Yeah.
Yeah, glory service is actually good. I think that's better. Yeah, like playing his part in the greater scheme of things, or like being the top dog forever and ever.
Yeah.
Cool. That was my move. So.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Episode 1. Okay. All right. I'm starting to think of episode 2 now. So I think I'm going to be story editor and do a little bit of more high level scenes. So let's see. Episode 2 will be where actually I'm not quite sure if I have a synopsis totally. But the at least one of the plot threads will be Zoe is starts to get the lay of the land and kind of understand, oh, there's the winter court and then there's the summer court, and then there's like these other little factions and groups and demographics, different sort of alliances within the city here. So learns of and meets a variety of factions, groups, and so that's one thread. Let me see. Okay. Oh, and I think in this one we also need to learn something about I think maybe it's more of a theme, is that everything is pushing Zoe to stay here. It's like she learns all the reasons, like she, maybe she's trying to, starts to be like, how do I get out of here? And then it's like everyone she meets has some reason to want her to stay, or something for her to do here, or whatever. So it's like, why does fate seem to be conspiring to keep her here, right? So everyone wants Zoe to stay and do something, and yeah, she can't seem to find a way home.
Cool.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So we need to think about why everyone wants a piece of Zoe, right? And I guess there could be a variety of reasons, but the reason that the main factions are interested in her has to be something that she's doing something that other people were not
not able to for some reason. So
I mean, we know she got to the city on her own instead of being pulled there like everyone else. So maybe just that having that ability is somehow connected to why she's important.
Yeah.
Or it could be something different.
The last person who was able to do that is someone who kind of went on to kind of create this structure that now kind of chaos. So, and then this person came through of their own accord and was able to form this idea where the factions take turns and do all that. So she's being cast as the next coming of. Okay,
That's
so
great.
put that into casting director, or do we put that further up in kind of like a?
If this is something she learns about, in one of the as part of somewhere in one of the episodes, this could be like a scene where either she is present or there are some other characters discussing this.
Maybe we have a cold. Maybe that's a cold start then for episode 3.
Sure.
To kind of really start to pull people in for the last. So it's like a cold start where the lore is kind of given a bit about this person who previously came and how they slipped through it. Like we've set up that in previous episodes, in episodes 1 and 2, and then at the start of 3, there's almost this, narrator guy who says, "Oh, the coming of the first one."
Yeah, is this like a is this like a flashback, or is it someone like telling the story about this with shadow puppets?
Really boring, but I can't think of anything better.
No, that's perfect, because here's what you do. It's contemporary times, right? So it's urban fantasy, but there's still schools. So like it's a classroom, right? And it's history class, and they're going over this this critical period, right? And as a cold open, it doesn't necessarily have to have our main characters in it, right? It can just be like some random teacher, telling about this critical piece of history.
Mm-hmm. I think you're writing in episode 4, but you talked about episode 3.
Did I? This is me not being in the right place again. Sorry. Thank you.
No. It's easy to move it. I wasn't sure if that was what you meant to do.
No, I meant to put it in 3 as we discussed. Thank you for pointing it out.
Gosh, dang it, Aaron. Going back to the classroom skit. My name is Mr. Garvey. I taught for 20 years in Goblin City. I'll be your substitute teacher.
Love it. That's probably enough for now.
Cool. Think I'll continue with some casting.
What are they called? Are they the hero or the revolutionary, or the are they given a title like the Duke or something? Like how do they refer to this person, who the founder or something like that? Ben, if you have an idea.
Sorry, I thought Anders was starting to take his go.
Yeah. No, please,
I
please.
want you to fill out a little more, or somebody, because I want to be able to refer to that.
Yeah.
That person again, right? It's like, oh, Zoe could be another founder or whatever.
Yeah, maybe the founder is a good one.
Yeah, did you want to add something more there? Because that's just one thing you've done. So you can do something more if you want. It doesn't have to be that. I don't remember. Yeah, it should be one. It should be the same scene, but it.
Okay. Right. In that case, I also want to set up then. You're right. It's not going to contain one of the main characters, but one of the. This is a group of teenagers, and one of the school kids is going to come back at some point later in the story. So I'm not sure why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either later in the episode or maybe later on.
Cool. Yeah, I think one cool thing you can do with this format is, you can set something up, or sorry, you can establish something in a later episode and then go back to the previous episodes and like build up to it, right? And so we can. So now in episode 1 and 2, in the dialogue, right, people can be talking about the she's a founder or something. And which is totally out of context and nobody understands it until this moment.
Yeah. I've already taken my turn. I've cast Angelina Jolie as the Queen of Winter. And her core drive is to never be powerless again. She was trapped or captured or something, so now she's really like she's very very into not having that happen again.
Nice.
Cool. That was my turn, and we're almost on the hour, so we'll take another break. Let's say we're back at 5 past.
Sounds good.
Cool. See you then.
All right.
Here we go. Aaron, I think it's your turn, right?
Okay. I have an idea for more of some background info for the show. I'm going to use showrunner to add a I want to add a particular faction or group. I think this would fit more in the series Bible, maybe. Sorry. Yeah, we'll just throw it in there. So there's a group of so there's a group of, I think I'm going to call them wizards, or sorcerers maybe, or something. But what these are is they're actually just normal people that have been pulled into the this city. They're from our world, and for one reason or another, they were pulled in for some purpose, for to serve one of the factions or whatever, and now they're they've kind of grouped together as like their own association of people, right? It's kind of a somewhere between a gang and a social club, if you like, people with this common common past. But I think also they've started to figure out some of the rules of the world, and for this reason, in some of the magic, and kind of taken a little bit more scientific approach, perhaps. And so they've learned how to wield some unusual powers, perhaps even like how should I say, developing a technology, beyond the maybe that's also part of it, is like, how did this world get cell phones and the subway system and all this stuff? It's because it's taken, all these technological developments were taken from our world, right? So maybe this is some of those people who who were brought in kind of to glean their insights, engineers and stuff like that, but now they've kind of gone rogue. And so the point is, like, they're in terms of like the courts and stuff, they're neutral, right? They don't support any particular faction, they don't work for any particular faction. But the Winter Queen, who is currently in power, absolutely suppresses all of their activity, because they have the potential to develop a threat, a magical threat against her. So that's kind of a lot. Maybe I could break that up into two things. But
kind of the winter stasis affinity there.
Yes.
Thematic affinity.
Yeah. So so these are people, and I think like Fisher was brought in and kind of serves the court, but these people have kind of broken away from whatever their original.
Yeah, that sounds
was.
like one or two things you can add to the series Bible.
Yeah. So we'll go with wizards because they're more of a scientifical bent. We're calling the Wizards Guild. But yeah, go ahead, Ben.
So you actually kind of beat me to something that I was sort of thinking of. Actually, I came in at a slightly different angle.
Okay, yeah.
But
feel free. I mean, if you want to modify.
No.
Yeah.
No. So the way that I came at it was I was thinking still about Zoe and how she got to the world. So I was thinking that actually she slipped through, like actually in front of that protest. So there were hundreds of cameras, because you mentioned people had their phones out recording.
Yeah.
So there's like literal proof, and it's gone viral. And so everyone who sees her is like, oh, you can do something amazing for me, or for my faction, or whatever. And that's why everyone's kind of after a piece of her. So that was one thing, and then that got me thinking about why have they got phones and cameras, which you've kind of tackled now, which is great. But then I just had this idea of like the technology. They've taken the technology, but they don't have the background and the infrastructure to kind of implement it in that way. So they supplement it with magic. So
I was thinking the exact same thing.
So you've got these phones that are essentially low-grade magic items, and they go to the cantrips store or the trips store to download a new cantrip to your phone, so it can do kind of the basic zero level D&D type spells. Like, so instead of having a light on your phone, all of a sudden you've got like a flame or something, you'd want, like, you're literally like translating what someone's saying to you in another language, and it appears in mystical text in front of you or something, or allows you to like speak to a ghost or detect a ghost or some, in the area. Things like that.
Exactly. Yes. That's so good.
It's hell on the battery, but
yeah.
I know we said we didn't want to go too silly with it, but I'm hoping it kind of.
Oh, there should be some weirdness in there.
I love it.
Yeah,
I think it's perfect.
That's perfect. It brings to mind there's a podcast called Hello from the Magic Tavern, which is it's the premise of this guy got sucked into a fantasy, D&D type of fantasy world, from that's like behind the McDonald's drive-thru or something. He wound up there with his laptop and his a microphone, and so he started a podcast, right, and he just interviews people who come into the Magic Tavern. So one of the guys is a magician, a wizard there, who can recharge he's like, because it's an improv show, right? But at one point they established, oh yeah, how do you keep the laptop charged? I have the wizard cast minuscule lightning to to recharge the battery.
That's great. That sounds like something you might want to add to the story Bible as well.
Yep. Yeah. I didn't know whether I can. Oh, why is that? It's because it's too.
Oh, is it not word wrapping?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can fix that. Just give me a second.
Sorry. I'm less common with.
Oops.
Less afraid with Google Docs than I am with Excel. Quick.
Yeah.
Right, and I know this is technically breaking a rule, but can I add that detail about that she slipped in front of the protest with hundreds of cameras recording her to that initial scene that we did?
Yeah, sure. Do that.
Yeah, I do think it might help as we fill in more stuff to just be able to like cross-reference. It's like, like the Winter Queen's relationships, right? Obviously she's suppressing the Wizard Guild, but we haven't written that on her card yet,
Yeah.
I
think.
So I don't know how you want to address that, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like it's not like super important that everything is in the correct place. We're playing a game. We're not actually writing a script.
Yeah.
I think it's my turn now, right? Yeah. I kind of feel like the way we've talked about this scene, it feels like it's almost the first scene, because I don't think we're going to have a whole scene of Zoe being back in the normal world.
Oh, you don't think so? I was thinking we could either do that, or I was thinking also, like, when she first comes through, she's not like on the street.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe she's in a basement somewhere or in some building, or she comes out of a closet and then
yeah, but here we talked about her like slipping through right in front of the protest. Like, isn't that her first appearance, or is that something she does while she's in the?
I thought that's where she. Well, it could work either way. That's fine. Yeah, if you want to move that to scene 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I leave it for now.
We could have the cold open as showing Zoe in the real world, right?
Yeah,
and then
getting up, getting dressed, getting in her car to go to work or whatever. Yeah, and then.
Yeah, mate, but
I'll write that
over
in the cold open
as the like opening credits play, right?
Yeah, we follow Zoe through her ordinary day filled with mundane frustrations and boring work.
Should there be a reason that she needs to or wants to get back though, rather than being boring?
Ooh.
If we set
We haven't
a
established
time
that yet.
limit, something something happened at home or will happen unless she gets back.
Yeah, I can't miss our anniversary date, you know, or the kid's birthday, or a big.
I kind of feel like I'm a bit
moment.
torn on this. I mean, she doesn't have to have a maybe she just has an interesting job, and maybe it's just like the normal world is at least safe, while this world is clearly dangerous and that sort of thing. But I was thinking that if we give her too strong a reason to go back, then there's never any question of whether she will choose to go back or not. Because like if she has a family back there, then it's like a foregone conclusion that she will go back when she gets the opportunity.
What if she'd uncovered something in her, like her employment or something, and then in the process of fleeing from them or rushing to the authorities or something, then she disappears? So then it's a choice does she go back to kind of make things better there, or does she make things better here in the new?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, then I think we do need the whole scene in the mundane world, because that does not fit into the cold open unless you do the prisoner thing. And I think that's maybe a bit much. Yeah. So we have her, but the cold open is still like her ordinary day.
Yeah, I love that.
But I think it ends with. I think the last plot beat here of the cold open is Zoe discovers something important that she needs to report or deal with. Yeah, so that's her the last beat is kind of her dropping her Starbucks coffee or something for something she's reading in her work papers or that sort of thing. There's clearly something there that upsets things. But that's my turn, so it's on to Aaron.
Okay. That's awesome. Yes. Cool. So scene 2 is where she comes in, right in the middle of the street. That first episode. Okay, I want to now go. I'm going to go to episode 5. Now that we kind of have an idea where it's all ending up, how it's all going to come together. So I want to pull that together. I have a couple different ideas for like where is the big finale ending, but I haven't decided yet. I'm not totally solid, but I think episode 5 is I'll do the synopsis kind of thing. So Zoe finally has I think so. She finally has all the pieces. Zoe finally has a plan to get home, or she finally finds an opportunity. Let's put it that way. Joey finds an opportunity to go home and fix that issue from work. And then and I'm thinking like with the help of the Wizards Guild, right? They like figured out a way. And then it's like all of the faction leaders, like, oh, I know what it is. Okay, so she gets the opportunity, all right, and she's like, all right, I'm going, no question, I got to get out of here, right? I got to get back. And then one by one, right, she runs into each of the characters from the season, right? It's Swango, and then it's the Summer King, right? And each one she says, no, I'm not dealing with your nonsense, all right? And then it gets to Fisher, right? And then finally it gets to like the critical person, maybe it's the Winter Queen or somebody, but it's like the one person that finally convinces her, you know, and has the argument that like, no, you have to stay.
The teenager from the classroom, maybe.
Oh yeah.
That would
Yeah.
be interesting. Yeah,
Somebody,
yeah.
whoever has that, you know, that one emotional hold on her that she can't
Yeah.
refuse, or that she would struggle to refuse. So one by one, she confronts the characters from the season's journey and refuses to stay until she runs into let's just call him the kid for now, who she struggles to refuse. Okay.
Cool. Love that.
Let's see, do I want to fill out any other thing? Maybe the title is You Can Never Go Home Again.
Yeah. Ben.
All right.
Okay. So that got me thinking. I think it's great. I love the twist with the kid being the one who convinces her to stay. But I think Fisher kind of comes in at the end. And I don't know, like either whatever the Wizard Guild has done has already been set up to kind of facilitate her getting back or something, and Fisher basically pushes her way into it somehow without getting permission from anyone, or maybe kind of tacitly from Zoe, but like and she goes through into the real. She
Nice.
actually returns into the real world.
Oh yes.
Oh, that's great.
And the tag, the last scene is of Fisher dealing with the problem in the real world, like literally kind of like taking them apart for whatever is bad that they've done.
Oh man, setting up season 2. So good.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's certainly the tag. It feels a bit lacking for the whole of scene 3, but maybe it's a plot beat in scene 3 for like Fisher kind of going through the portal, or
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's just the kind of thing Fisher would do. Just grab whatever, magical device out of Zoe's hands and wave the wand and jump on through.
I also get the feeling she's been very kind of negative towards the Wizards Guild all the way through, very kind of dismissive and stuff. But yeah. But happy to obviously use their tech and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do people sleep in this city?
Ooh.
This city never sleeps. What if they don't sleep?
Of course they don't sleep.
And that's why Fisher needs to. She just wants to go into the world to get sleep. I've been here 30 years without sleep, and I just want to go home and rest.
That's amazing. I just realized the device, of course, because you establish the cell phones, you get enchanted, right, with the little cantrip apps, and so that's the device. It's not a wand. It's Zoe's cell phone, and she has to get it enchanted by the Wizards Guild so it can open the portal.
Home map on it.
That's right.
Home trip. Yeah.
So while you're typing that out, I'm going to work on episode 3, and let's see, what do I want to. Yeah, I'm going to write a synopsis for episode 3. I think this is when we have a grand ball, because we got to have a grand ball if we're doing kind of Fae things here. I think this is the king and queen, or grand ball. The courts hold a grand ball to celebrate the turning of the seasons. The king and queen spar verbally and try to pull Zoe to their into their plots. I think that's the general synopsis there, and let's see. I don't know what the quote is from Cinderella. I don't know it in English. There's this thing in Sweden at Christmas. There's an old Disney special they play every year, and part of it is the scene from Cinderella where they make her dress. Oh, here it is. Think. Yeah, I'm just going to call it completely wonderful because that's part of that quote. Yeah, that's it. That was my turn.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and it's got that episode 3 has the the cold open where we're learning about the founder. And I kind of want to do a scene from that. I love the ball, which is also it's like a political event, right? It's like it's almost like
absolutely.
a political rally kind of thing, or a debate, right?
Mhm.
So I think in scene 3 of that, I think that's when the that's when the Winter Court, like, it's supposed to change over, and the Winter Court subverts it, right? And it's a coup or whatever, and they reveal that they've been able to seize power beyond. Maybe I don't know if that conflicts with like the whole thing. Because that's kind of why they want Zoe in the first place.
Yeah,
And
I think
so,
this is yeah. They haven't they can't have completed their plan, maybe. Or maybe this is when maybe they try but they don't fully succeed, and that's why they need Zoe at the end.
okay.
So it's revealed what they're trying to do, and that way someone can kind of check them and push back, but it's still not fully resolved or something.
What if they try to, realizing they can't win her over? What if they try to frame her for like murdering the king or something like that? Like whether they actually succeed in murdering him or whatever, but something, and try to pin it on this malcontent Zoe who's trying to change everything.
Yeah. Get rid if they can't. If she won't join them, she won't. If they can't have her, nobody can have her. So
yeah, something like that.
Oh, that's it. Okay, yes. So so let me I'll do a summary for scene 3. So what happens is the so the change is about to happen. Zoe makes a deal with the Summer King, okay, to to help his faction, after the transition, and she's gonna stay, and he's sold her on this whole, doing service to the community. Like, we need you here to just like the original founder, blah blah blah. You're gonna improve society in some way, and then boom, he gets murdered, and Zoe's framed for it, right? And the Winter Court stays in power. At least, well, it contested, right?
yeah.
It's a play, but yeah. So
during this time of upheaval, it's surely for the best if the current monarch.
exactly right.
Yeah.
until the perpetrators can be brought to justice, right? And then Zoe's on the run. Cool. I'll throw that in the summary. His idealistic reforms. So Zoe makes a deal with the Summer King to support his idealistic reforms in a new era for the city. The king is then assassinated by the Winter Court, and by Swango, I think, specifically. And Zoe is framed for it. Cool. Yeah. So, and I'll just say there's, I think one of the beats is like we see, the Queen steps. Let's see, addresses the crowd at the end. Stay in power until the perpetrator can be brought to justice. Okay.
Cool. Ben.
Hey. I was thinking of going back to the beginning. No, actually, I'm going to flip to casting director and cast our kid.
I was looking for someone and I couldn't find anyone, so I'm happy that you're doing it.
Okay. Do you want to go on with your go, and I'll come back to me when I find something after it? Is that all right?
Yeah. Let's see. So we have. Zoe makes a deal with the Summer King. King is assassinated by Swango, and Zoe is fraying. Queen addresses that. Yeah, that's episode 3. And then in episode 5, we have the thing with the final when she confronts everyone. So I think episode 4 will be Zoe on the run. It seems like.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So I think I'll write the synopsis here. Zoe is on the run and gets help from Fisher and the Wizards Guild. She learns more about what it means to be a founder. Yeah. I can never go home again. I was trying to think of a title here. Yeah, I think I'll just call it On the Run. It's not fancy, but I think it works. So Ben, did you find a picture for the kids?
Yes. I did. Getting it to you is the issue. Right. There we go. Right. There we go. This is our teenage boy. Is that showing?
No, I think you need the. Huh. It's the link is not going anywhere for me.
No. Okay, let me try again. Okay, well, it's I've picked a black-skinned boy with curly hair in his teens. He's got like a chain on and a t-shirt. I'll try and fill that in as I can.
Yeah.
So I think as his character, he's kind of a young elfin kind of lad, and I think perhaps the reason that what he says to Zoe is so kind of is the thing that sways her is because his core drive is to see improvements for the normal people in the city, not those who are like related to the courts. Like the courts come and go, and they have this kind of faction stuff, but things never improve for the people at the bottom, no matter who's in charge. And I think that's what sways her to stay.
Mm-hmm. Good.
So his core thing is to improve life for the regular people in the city. Because I think, like the maybe like the protest that we saw at the beginning, that was perhaps like people paid, or like raptor gangs or something who support they were supporting the winter court, like to stay in power, or the summer court to come in, but either way they weren't kind of representative of the normal people. Like they part, it's all that kind of conflict and everything that goes on means that nothing ever kind of filters down to the rest.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I've already done my turn. I think we have time for one more go round. So,
okay.
Aaron, your last turn.
Yeah. Let's see. That's good. I kind of want to build on that character now. Oh, actually, there's another thing I want to do though, which is that we got to have some sexy times in our urban fantasy. That was part of the brief. Okay, so there's got to be a little romance, and so I think it's. I mean, we don't have the character established yet, but I think maybe, let me see. What episode would this go in? Oh, it'd be episode 2. Yeah, we got to get it going early. Okay. So where she's meeting all the different factions, right? And maybe partly it's Fisher kind of bringing her up to speed and introducing her. Maybe, she goes off on her own at some points. But So I think I'll just do the middle scene. Scene 2 on episode 2 is like Zoe meets a let's see. Are they human or are they some weirdo? I like if they're an elf. You mentioned that maybe the kid is kind of an elf looking person. So Zoe meets this this hot elf who is kind of because he's, you know, I think, you know, he looks youngish, you know, in his 20s or whatever, Legolas type, you know, Orlando Bloom, whatever, elfie type guy. But because elves live so long, and you know, some vague number of centuries or whatever, he's kind of got this outsider's perspective on the whole factions thing, right? And so he, I think there's this in this scene, Zoe meets this guy and I think he's the first person who sort of sympathizes with her in this moment and says, you know, yeah, there's all these different people and whatever, you know, but it is all bullshit, you know, to some level. Like, you don't need to stick around here, right? It's always happening. There's always going to be, you know, some crisis that needs helping. You know, you need to do what you need to do, and you know, if you don't pay attention to that destiny nonsense, you know. And yeah, so I think this is he's clearly like the a little too cool for school, you know, and sympathizes and helps her out and kind of gives her a different, kind of grounds her a little bit more, you know, of like after all this crazy stuff has been going on, right? He's like, yeah, sit down, you know, have a cup of tea, and we'll just,
and it just helped. He happens to be a hot elf,
and yeah, and you know, he's like really suave, right? And kind of gets into her headspace a little bit. And then I think, you know, over the course of the different episodes and whatever, you know, that more can develop from that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay, and then we're back to Ben.
Oops. What the? I fixed the image. Oh, it's yeah.
Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was something going on there. I don't know why. But it's there now.
So I think scene 1 in episode 2 is Fisher chasing after Zoe and trying to make amends with her, and Zoe
kind of has had enough of the crazy and what's gone on before with Swango and Fisher, and basically tells her to leave her alone, which she sort of does, but tracks her. So I think that's kind of that scene as it leads into the scene where she meets the hot elf. So.
I'm going to do my last move while you're typing because we're a bit short on time.
Yep.
I'm just going to put some titles on the last episodes that don't have any. Episode 2 is going to be What Happens in the Unsleeping City Stays in the Unsleeping City. And the first one, I think that's also. I think it's going to be Catawampus, just like the show itself.
Yeah. Good. Man, this is awesome. I do love.
It's very cool. It's already a season in my head. It's great.
Reminds me a little bit of Primetime Adventures, but yeah, you can just jump around to the the interesting bits as you fill it out, and just kind of work as you go.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of extra like supports and things in there about like story structures and or just kind of to people to?
Yeah, I have a whole thing. There's, or I should say, there are some alternate structures where you can use like a 3-act structure or 4-act structure or 5-act structure, and those have they're described in the rules. And then if you do the classical 3-act structure, you have like a certain number of scenes. I think it's like 2 scenes for the introducing the main character and their situation, and then a number of scenes. I don't remember the exact number for like the second act where you have the rising action, and a certain number of scenes for the third act with a resolution. So there are some. And that sort of thing. So, and I have some more brief notes, like if you want it to be a novel instead, or if you want to do so there are alternatives. And there's a lot I shouldn't say, but there are some notes on like inner conflicts for characters, how you can structure and describe that, and that sort of thing. So there's a bit of that as well.
Excellent. That's really great. I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah. The only thing I think it would benefit just for longer term play, if there was like maybe between sessions or whatever, you go back and you can kind of just fill in the stuff that was established but hasn't been put in the right boxes, just for note taking purposes, like, oh yeah, this person is related to them and whatever.
I think that's I think that's a good idea. If you move on to the second season, then just filling out some of the things that were said but weren't written down, or something that, like we talked about with the Winter Queen, that she's like suppressing the Wizards Guild, but that's only noted on the Wizards Guild. Maybe put that somewhere on her.
So just to fill out the notes for future reference,
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise it's pretty cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun, as I've had with all the sessions. So, so it works for me.
Good. I'm glad I got a chance to jump into this one.
Yeah, I'm happy you joined. We're almost on time, so I won't keep you any longer. But this was I had a blast, and we ended up with something. I was kind of like I want to do something with urban fantasy, but I didn't have a clear idea of what I wanted it to be. But I think the discussion we had at the beginning, we got something really interesting that I don't that feels at least a little bit different from what we've seen before, while drawing on the same tropes and that sort of thing. So yeah, super fun.
I think it's different from what any one of us would have come up with, and being that kind of collaboration. I think so. It's nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, and that's the goal, and that's like from what I've from what I've learned is that as long if you have that discussion early on, like with the touchstones and that sort of thing, then people are remarkably much on the same page. Like when you then started talking about the technology being magical, I had the same idea, and I was just waiting for my turn so I could put it in, and then you did it for me. So that was super great. Yeah.
That's one last question. You mentioned about studio interference in the notes for the game that you put up. How does that mechanic work?
Oh yeah. Studio interference. That's I need to check exactly to make sure. But there's two variants of it. One is you propose something you want to do, and then you make some rolls and see, and the studio says, yeah, sure, but make it for teenagers, or actually we didn't get the license to this IP, so you'll have to do a knockoff version or something like that. Or if you're doing an ongoing series, actually you've got the rules. You've got the link to the folder, so you can. But the other version is when you're doing that's in combination with another variant where you're writing the episodes as they are aired. And then you're working on an episode, and you have a certain number of moves to finish that episode. And in the middle of that period, you roll to see if there is studio interference. So that can be like, oh, this actor is in a fight with the studio, so they're not going to be available, or you need to shoot this scene now, so you only have one round of moves to finish that scene, and then it's done, and you can't change it anymore. That sort of thing.
Brilliant.
Oh
Sounds
man.
good. Add some wrinkles. Yeah.
I can. Oh man. And now I want to do a series of this where you do one session, like the first session you develop season 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then and there's no time pressure. You got all the time in the world, right? You're writing it as a spec script, right?
Yeah.
Season 2, it gets picked up. So session 2, you write season 2, but now it's got to be okay. We need episode 1 done, within five turns, because we're shooting it now, right? And like, then you guys, so you're kind of building. Now you got to lay the track as the train's coming down,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it'll be lots of fun.
Yeah. This was super fun.
Really get that flavor of why how TV shows go off the rails in later seasons sometimes. Cool.
Cool.
Right.
Was super fun to play with both of you. I hope
it's available.
It's on. If you want to buy it, it's on itch. Otherwise, it's in the folder, so you have it if you want it.
It's just called Writer's Room.
Yeah.
Very good.
I can
plug your stuff.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Yeah. Hope to see you around. Take care.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks, Sarah. Great to meet you both. Bye.